She texted, "Stop being paranoid. You're my only one." I replied, "Good to know." Then I posted the screenshot of her chats with 3 guys. Just the first twist. The real one? Her own boss was one of them, and his wife saw it first. I used to think paranoia was a tax you paid for being disappointed before. Seattle rain turns everyone into quiet observers. You learn to read streetlights, people, pauses. I'm Adrian Cole, 31, a supply chain analyst whose job is to assume things will break and then build systems that don't. I'm good at it at work. At home, with Lila, not so much. We met on a ferry to Bainbridge 2 summers ago. She'd spilled coffee on a vintage trench and laughed like it didn't matter. That laugh made strangers want to help, and I did. Napkins, jokes, the whole wholesome routine. She was wild-eyed about fragrances and brand stories, said scents were memories you can sell. I said I mapped warehouses. She said, "So you make the invisible happen." We moved slow for 5 months, then suspiciously fast. By last fall, there was a toothbrush beside mine, a spare hoodie in her car, and her hairpins like tiny landmines in the bath mat. The first cracks were not dramatic. Lila's phone turned face down. Her replies slid from full sentences into emojis. She started calling late dinners client socials, then brand activations, then, "I'll tell you later, babe, you wouldn't care." I did care, but I learned her economy. Attention in, attention out. She fed on comments, DMs, the helium of being seen. When I'd ask something practical, "What's our budget for the trip?" she'd call me frugal like it was an insult that could shut a man up. One night, over noodles and a bad true crime doc, she said, "You're too suspicious, Adrian." Not everyone's cheating. The doc paused on a paused face. I said, "I'm not suspicious. I'm consistent." She rolled her eyes. On cue, my phone lit up with a Slack ping from a vendor in Tacoma about a container that had missed a rail hop. I answered, smoothed a fire, and when I returned to the couch, she'd already scrolled past the credits and into reels, smiling at other people's stories. What I didn't do was start snooping. I didn't install spyware or demand passwords. Seattle is a consent town, and I've watched careers die over boundary violations. Still, I live in a world of audit trails. Timestamps, handoffs, who touched what, when. Lila left her iPad at my place sometimes for Canva mood boards. It was signed into her iCloud, and the messages badge would glow like a warning buoy. I never opened it. I noticed it. There is a difference. Then, in late March, she texted at 12:41 a.m. "Running late. Client tasting after party. Don't wait up." Her location dot, something she'd voluntarily shared months ago, blinked near South Lake Union, far from the tasting venue she'd posted earlier. 10 minutes later, her dot vanished. "Battery," she'd say. I slept badly. The next morning, she brought croissants and jokes, and I decided to pay with benefit of the doubt one more time. When the paranoid line finally came, it arrived like a traffic ticket. "Stop being paranoid. You're my only one." I looked at it a long time. The sentence wore perfume I recognized. Performative reassurance. I typed back, "Good to know." Then I set the phone down and stared through morning rain at the Fremont Bridge, counting the seconds between lifts, calculating capacity like I always do. There's the story people tell you, and there's the story the system tells. If Lila needed me to trust her words, I needed to trust my methods. I didn't go nuclear. I went controlled. I opened my camera roll, the one I rarely use for anything but receipts and UPCs, and I started building a quiet, careful plan. The first time I caught the reflection of her lie, it wasn't in her eyes, it was in the patterns. I'm trained to see anomalies, tiny mismatches that most people scroll past. Lila's patterns began to change. She used to text mid-afternoon about groceries, tiny reminders, random memes. Now her replies came in clusters, bursts of energy at night, then silence. I noticed the timestamps, 11:42 p.m., 12:16 a.m., the witching hour of people who think their secrets sleep. She had new perfume too, amber musk, expensive, not one she'd bought with me. Her new client, the one who needed late brand consults, had apparently gifted it. When I asked who, she said, "Don't be weird. It's PR, people send things," but the bottle still had a gift tag under the cap. V. I didn't say anything, because sometimes silence collects better evidence than confrontation ever could. One Friday, I came home early from a supplier audit. Her iPad was glowing on the kitchen counter, screen still open to a group chat. 4 initials at the top, VJML. The preview line read, "Tonight's on me." Same suite as last time. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. Because Lila's client activation dinner was supposedly at a vegan restaurant downtown, and this chat, judging by the hotel name in the gray bubble, was very much not vegan. That's when I decided to turn her own vanity against her. No keyloggers, no hacking, just pattern baiting. I changed my WhatsApp wallpaper to a quote she'd once posted. "Truth is a perfume. Once spilled, it lingers." And I waited. That night, she asked too casually, "So, still working on those data audits?" That was confirmation enough. She was fishing. Someone, somewhere, was nervous. The next morning, I checked the security log on our shared router. 3 unknown device pings, all within minutes of her laundry breaks. She'd been hotspot mirroring my phone whenever she was home. That's when I smiled, because that meant I didn't have to chase her anymore. All I had to do was feed her exactly what she wanted to find. 2 days after her sweet little text about being her only one, I noticed something small. A new perfume. A scent she'd never worn before. Musky, sharp, almost foreign. She said it was a sample from work. But Sienna worked at a tech company, not a fashion house. That night, she kept her phone face down on the counter. Twice it buzzed. Twice she said it was Slack notifications. Funny thing, Slack doesn't make your face light up like that. I didn't confront her right away. I'd learned that the truth hides best in silence. When you start shouting, the guilty get careful. When you stay calm, they get sloppy. So I stayed quiet, watched patterns, noticed how her gym sessions now lasted 2 hours instead of 1. How she started taking her laptop into the bathroom to finish reports. And then, the mistake that cracked her act. She forgot to log out of her iCloud. Her messages synced to the shared iPad we used for movies. At first it was harmless, memes from friends, work chatter. Then a thread popped up, labeled only with emojis, a flame, a lock, and a name, B. Inside were messages that didn't sound professional. Late-night jokes, inside references. Voice notes with giggles. Photos cropped just below her collarbone. But one detail stopped my breath. "Can't wait till Friday, same suite as last time." Friday? She had told me she was working overtime. I didn't blow up, not yet. I took screenshots, backed up the iCloud, then erased my traces. If she thought I was paranoid, I was going to make paranoia my weapon. That night, she came home late. Lipstick faded, hair perfect. Kissed my cheek and said she was exhausted from client calls. I smiled. I bet. Her eyes flickered, but she didn't ask what I meant. By Saturday morning, my hands were steady. I had every message, every voice note, every timestamp. It wasn't rage anymore, and it was math, just evidence and patience. She came out of the shower humming, wrapped in a towel, phone in hand, scrolling like nothing was wrong. "Big weekend plans?" I asked casually. She smiled. "Brunch with the girls." "Nice," I said, pouring coffee. "Same suite as last time?" The mug froze halfway to her lips. "What?" I looked up, innocent. "You said the same suite as last time in one of your texts." With B, her face drained of color. I don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I think you do." I placed the iPad on the counter, the chat thread glowing bright. Her hand flew to her mouth. "You went through my messages?" she hissed. "You mean the ones synced to a shared device you forgot about?" I said softly. "Yeah, crazy how cloud technology works." She lunged for the iPad, but I slid it away. "Don't bother deleting them. I've backed everything up." "You're paranoid," she screamed. "You twist everything into lies because you can't handle a confident woman." "Confident?" I said, leaning forward. "Or just careless?" Her phone buzzed on the counter. A preview flashed across the screen. B. Same place, same time tonight? The sound she made wasn't human. A strangled gasp mixed with fury. "Stop reading my private messages." I smiled faintly. "I'm not reading them." "Your phone just keeps volunteering the truth." That's when I did it. I took screenshots, the whole thread, and sent them to my own email. Then I waited. Because sometimes revenge doesn't start with shouting. It starts with silence. And the right audience. Her boss's wife, Mia, followed both of us on Instagram. She liked every anniversary post. She commented on our couple photos, and according to one of the messages, B had a wife named Mia. I didn't need to imagine what would happen when Mia found out. I just had to make sure she did. That afternoon, I sat in my office pretending to work. The truth was, I was timing the detonation. 12 screenshots. 3 cropped perfectly to show context. No edits, no tricks. Just her words, her photos, her timestamp. At 3:12 p.m., I posted one to my private story, visible only to 5 people. One of them was Mia, another was Sienna. The caption read, "Trust is built in silence." Broken the same way. It didn't take long. Within 10 minutes, Mia viewed the story. Within 30, Sienna texted me in all caps. "What are you doing?" "Take that down now." I typed back, "Stop being paranoid." "You're my only one." Then muted her notifications. The beauty of poetic symmetry. At 5 p.m., my phone exploded. Mia's number appeared. I didn't even hesitate. "Hello?" Her voice shook. "Is this Liam?" "Yes." This is Mia Hale. Are you aware my husband is your girlfriend's boss?" "I am now," I said. There was silence, heavy and trembling. "I think you should check your husband's messages," I continued quietly. "Search for her name." Sienna. The line went dead. 2 minutes later, she called again, sobbing this time. "Thank you for telling me." "I didn't tell you," I said. "She did." That evening, Sienna came home furious. Her heels hit the hardwood like gunshots. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "Yeah," I said calmly. "I told the truth." "You ruined everything," she screamed. "Evan's wife found out. She's threatening to go to HR." "Oh," I said, pretending to be concerned. "That must be awkward. Cheating with your boss and getting caught by his wife." She glared, eyes wet with rage. "You don't understand. You've destroyed my career." "No," I said, standing slowly. "You destroyed it when you thought I was too dumb to outsmart you." She froze. Her lips trembled. And in that silence, I saw it. The exact second she realized I wasn't guessing anymore. By Monday morning, it wasn't gossip anymore. It was an HR emergency. My phone buzzed with an email marked confidential. Subject, meeting request regarding internal conduct inquiry. The sender, Evan's HR director. The CC line, Sienna Brooks. I didn't smile. Not yet. When I walked into the building, people looked at me differently. Half pity, half awe. Rumors travel fast in Austin's tech circle, especially when the source turns out to be a PR manager caught sleeping with her boss. Evan's wife, Mia, hadn't gone quiet. She'd sent the screenshots to the company board, along with a note. "If this is who represents your brand, and maybe you should rethink your ethics." The HR meeting was short. They didn't need me to say much. I confirmed my relationship with Sienna, that I hadn't leaked any internal data, and then slid my folder across the table, containing the original screenshots, timestamps, and, yes, the text from Sienna herself mocking me for being too dumb to catch on. The director's eyes hardened. "Thank you, Mr. Park. That's all we need." That night, the final act played out somewhere I hadn't expected. At the Brooks Family Foundation Gala, her parents' annual charity event, where Sienna had planned to parade her rising star image before the city's business elite. I hadn't been invited this year, but fate has a sense of humor. A mutual friend texted me, "Dude, you'll want to see this." It's happening now, a live stream link. On stage, Sienna stood beside her father, smiling too hard under the lights. Her speech started confident, scripted, controlled. Then a murmur rolled through the crowd. Phones started flashing. A headline appeared on Twitter, projected on someone's screen behind her. Local PR manager suspended after affair with married executive exposed by internal leak. The irony? That headline used her own press template, her own words, her brand voice, weaponized against her. Her smile cracked. Her mother turned away. And in that instant, her perfect world, all image, all illusion, shattered. My phone buzzed again. A single text from her. "You did this to me." I typed back, "No, you did it to yourself. I just stopped cleaning up your mess." She didn't reply. But 30 minutes later, the live feed caught her storming off stage, her father chasing after her, and the PR coordinator announcing an unexpected intermission. It wasn't just a breakup anymore, it was a public collapse. Career, reputation, family, all undone by one simple truth. The woman who built lies for a living finally ran out of people willing to believe them. The next 48 hours were chaos. Twitter threads, LinkedIn think pieces, anonymous insider statements flooding tech gossip blogs. Sienna's company suspended both her and Evan indefinitely. By Tuesday afternoon, she was no longer employed. By Wednesday, Evan's LinkedIn headline changed to "Open to Work." The internet doesn't forgive fast, especially not hypocrisy caught in HD. She showed up at my apartment that evening, eyes red, makeup smeared, hands shaking around a crumpled tissue. "Noah, please," she whispered. "You've made your point. I've lost everything. Just stop." I stared at her. At the woman who'd once promised she'd never lie to me. At the person who'd laughed while calling me paranoid. "I didn't make you lose anything," I said quietly. "You built your life out of mirrors and one cracked." "You could have talked to me," she snapped. "You could have tried to fix it instead of humiliating me in front of everyone. Like you talked to me before selling out my trust to your boss?" I stepped aside. "You should go." She hesitated. Then her tone shifted, pleading, desperate. "My parents won't even speak to me. Mom says I've disgraced the family name. Dad's pulled my access to the foundation account. I don't even have money for rent," I exhaled. "You'll figure it out." "You always do," her voice cracked. "You're really done with me?" I met her eyes. "For once, yeah." "Completely." She stood there for a second, waiting for me to break. But I didn't. She left without another word. 2 days later, my phone lit up again. But this time, it wasn't her. It was HR from Evan's company, asking for permission to use my documentation for internal training on data provenance and ethics. I agreed. If her downfall was going to mean anything, it might as well teach people something real. Weeks passed. Her friends unfollowed her. Her PR accounts went dark. And the woman who once bragged she could control any narrative was finally living in one she couldn't rewrite. The last message I ever got from her came a month later. "You win." I didn't respond, because it was never about winning. It was about stopping the bleeding. 3 months later, I stood on stage at the Austin Data and Ethics Forum. A full house, dozens of cameras. My talk title flashed across the screen. trust, leaks, and the canary effect. I wasn't here as the guy who got cheated on. I was here as the cybersecurity engineer who proved integrity could still outsmart ego. I walked the audience through the trap I'd built. How decoy intel works, how metadata can trace betrayal more precisely than emotion ever could. Then I paused, took a breath, and said, "But none of that matters if you trust the wrong people for the wrong reasons." Silence settled. I glanced at the front row, a few familiar faces, including Sienna's former colleagues. Some couldn't even meet my eyes. After the session, a woman from a startup approached me. "You turned something awful into something useful," she said. "Did it at least help you move on?" I smiled faintly. It helped me see that sometimes losing someone isn't the punishment. It's the lesson. She nodded. "Still, must have hurt like hell." "It did," I admitted. "But so did living in a lie." That night, I drove home under a sky full of static gray clouds. For the first time in months, no news alerts, no gossip threads, no inbox notifications. Just quiet. At a red light, I scrolled past a news headline. PR firm fires executives over ethics breach. Sienna's name wasn't mentioned, but it didn't have to be. The world had already moved on. I parked, stepped out, and for a moment, the air smelled clean again. Inside my apartment, my whiteboard still had a phrase I'd written months ago. Integrity is proof that doesn't need witnesses. I smiled, erased it, and wrote something new. Trust earned beats love promised. Because for once I wasn't chasing revenge. I was rebuilding peace and one truth at a time.